Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the Bits and Pieces Cricket Podcast. We've got a great panel for you. We've got a fun panel. You're going to learn a lot about cricket, and certainly at this time with the T20 World Cup just around the corner, we're going to be talking about T20 World Cup. All right? So please stay tuned, tell a friend, and share the live.
This podcast comes to you with the kind compliments of G-Town Universal and the Lawrence Rowe Legendary Cricket Foundation.
All right. The first thing we want to do, gentlemen, would be to list our predictions for the T20 World Cup. Of course, later on, we're going to be talking a little about, what the T20 World Cup means at this time, coming to the USA, coming to the West Indies, how it can benefit the game as a whole. We're going to get down to that. But first, we want to give our predictions. So here is something from a former English captain, and then we're going to head into our panel, which includes the great legend, Mr. Lawrence Rowe, Chris Daring, who has been instrumental in the marketing and the branding of Cricket West Indies, and a fan, Kevin Henry. All right, we'll be back. Just check this out, listen to this, and we'll be back.
Former England captain Nasser Hussain has made his predictions for the ICC Men's T20 World Cup 2024. He envisions South Africa, led by their strong domestic T20 league and key players, surprising everyone by winning their first ICC trophy. While Hussain acknowledges England's potential to retain their title under Jos Buttler, he notes their recent inconsistent form. Hussain also highlights the impressive performance of South Africa in the recent ICC Men's Cricket World Cup and the potential impact of players like Anrich Nortje and Sisanda Magala. For the final, Hussain predicts a clash between South Africa and England. He emphasizes South Africa's improved depth and talent, driven by their domestic SA20 competition. Furthermore, Hussain believes that Suryakumar Yadav of India, known for his extraordinary T20 skills, could claim the Player of the Tournament award. Overall, Hussain's insights suggest that while England remains a strong contender, South Africa's recent performances and emerging talents position them as a formidable team for the upcoming T20 World Cup.
All right, Yago, agree or disagree? What's your take?
I didn't hear part of the first thing because I didn't get my mic off. But I heard him talking about England, and then he tipped South Africa. He's tipping South Africa to really thing here. Now, well, for me, the sentiments have to be West Indies. For me, basically, I'm a West Indian, a former West Indian player, so I grab West Indies to win it. But you have the big six are there about. You have England, which won the last one. You have Australia, who won the last 50 over World Cup. India. You have Pakistan. You have the West Indies. You have South Africa, New Zealand, and Sri Lanka. I think it's going to come out of those. Although you have the minor teams who are playing extremely well on T20 cricket. You can't write off nobody these days. You have to respect everybody and go out there and play hard against everybody because the rest of the world is catching up. Afghanistan is a team that you have to watch too. But for me, West Indies will be my number one team because, as I say, from sentiments and everything. India would be one of the top favorite in there. You can't write off Australia, and I would say although South Africa will have a good side, South Africa really has always stroked it away and never done as well in the World Cup. So, my picks would be, West Indies, India, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa. That is England for me.
South Africa.
Yeah.
And okay, I know you would like to see West Indies definitely in the final. Who would you put with West Indies in that final if you were a betting man?
In the final, India, West Indies.
India, West Indies. All right, thank you for that, Yago. Chris, we're going to go to you. What would be your picks?
Well, I'd say the four semifinalists: South Africa, India, West Indies, Australia. Um, it, it's T20.
Yeah.
And, anything can happen in T20. It's just such a short format. I think it's going to be a batters tournament with our small grounds. And that's where I would give the West Indies a fighter's chance to get there, because we do have some big hitters. But I tend to agree with Nasser that South Africa, right now, if you see how the South Africans perform in the IPL, well, they must be the favorite to win it. But I give West Indies a fighting chance because of our big hitters and the fact that we're playing at home. There's nothing that can substitute for that familiarity with conditions. Nothing. There's a reason why India is so strong in India and West Indies is so strong in the West Indies. We just beat South Africa in a 3-3 series. I know it wasn't all the big stars. And people will say South Africa, it was a second 11. But the truth is, for West Indies, it was almost a second 11 too. With some very key people missing. So I'm sorry, Jason Holder is injured, but the truth is, Obed McCoy is also probably our best death bowler when he's on song. And so I want to back West Indies, but my heart says West Indies, but my head says South Africa.
Okay. I like that. My heart says West Indies, but my head says South Africa. Well, what does your heart and head say, Kevin?
My heart says West Indies, but my head says Australia. And the reason why I'm saying Australia is because of their know-how. It doesn't matter the conditions, the Australians know how to win. And that is why I am tipping them to win it. Based on what took place in the last World Cup, you cannot and that's the 50 over World Cup. You cannot discount that. You cannot discount the fact that they have a whole group of players right now that are playing very well. When you're talking to Travis Head, what's his not Maxwell, but Hazelwood, Zampa, Cummins, Stark. These guys are all playing well, and that's about the core of the Australian team. So when I look at that core and I look around at the other teams, I don't see anybody else core members playing as well as they are right now.
Okay.
True.
I would like.
Go ahead.
In it, I like to for us to get into the tournament. I mean, these predictions are T20 we're talking about, so it's very, very tough. So, it's nicer to get into the tournament a little bit to see how people look as the tournament, go on the first week and a half, 2 weeks of the tournament. We can then to start to see some things happening. And as I say, it's T20 cricket, so, anything can happen. That is where West Indies is so poised, because we are good. We have quite a few of our players played in the IPL and did very well this year. So I am picking us to really, not just a heart, but I believe that we have the ability to do it. Absolutely. We have the ability to do it. The guys have the ability to do it. As long as they apply themselves well, it's not the kind of game that you can go there and sit back and relax for the length of time. It's something that you have to move on. But players around the world now has gotten so good at playing this format. It's really a craft now. They can do it very well, and most of the teams, I think, are playing well. And don't be surprised of some of the other teams that we're not talking about too. Some of the other
definitely some of them.
Afghanistan can be a team.
I want us to talk about that. There's usually a few upsets at this level. Chris, where do you see an upset? If you had to envision one.
Netherlands, Ireland,
Yes.
Afghanistan.
Yes.
Those 3 teams. And look, the other day I was looking at, there are 84 ranked T20 countries now. Okay? Let's put it in perspective. So the other day, Nepal beat the West Indies in West Indies A in Nepal.
Yeah.
And there was a bit of a shock, and I said to somebody, well, I think it must be surprising that a little cricketing nation could compete against a nation that has 50,000 registered cricketers. And I had to tell them that the country that had the 50,000 registered cricketers was Nepal, not the West Indies. We have less than 10,000.
Yeah.
In fact, our number is closer to Japan.
That's putting things in serious perspective.
Yes. Our number is closer to Japan with up to 6,000. And listen, I will never forget the Netherlands president at the time. This must be back in '99. Doing a presentation at ICC to us and where it's taking Netherlands cricket and you sort of dismiss it. So, look at them now.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Ireland is always a team that you have to watch.
Ireland.
They always have been giving people surprising people. And you can't afford to take anybody lightly. This is the thing with it now.
Mm-hmm.
Especially the format of the game. You can't take it lightly. It's a shorter version. Things happen very quickly. Sometimes it depends on wicket condition. You might bat first in a game when you wanted was to bat second, and the wicket is doing something, and before you know it, you get all out. The pitch start to play better in the afternoon. And before you know it, you're gone. You're a goner.
The beauty about T20 and why you now have this a table, a world table that almost look like FIFA's world table, You realize it's gone way past just the test players. It's the test countries. You have this list of 84 countries now that are around. It looks like FIFA, right? The beauty about T20 is that in test cricket, if you can make 300 runs twice, you are uncompetitive.
Yes.
In T20, you have to make 130 runs once to have a competitive team. So just think about that. 600 runs versus 130 runs. You realize why this form of the game has grown the way it has. And it's so competitive. Because as Yaga said, you make 130 batting first, all of a sudden there's a little drizzle, a little cloud cover, and 2 batsmen get out early and panic sets in. All of a sudden, it's a different game.
Yes.
Mike Atherton said something recently. He said the T20 game is very much like the lottery. Today you could show up and you would have the best day, and tomorrow you show up and you're found wanting. And if you really and truly look at the game, you see it every day. You see it in individual players' performances. They show up today and they're the superstar, and then tomorrow you have a Surya Kumar Yadav taking down the best fast bowler in the world. Or a Johnson Charles taking down the best fast bowler in the world. So it is very much a lottery.
Okay. All right. Cricket has come to the good old USA. And I'm going to start with you, Chris. We want to talk about what it could mean for the game. A lot of people are hoping that it means great things. But before I get to Chris, I'll allow you. We will briefly introduce you, and then you will follow.
Chris Daring has had a distinguished 40-year career as a senior executive and entrepreneur in finance, sports, and telecommunications. His expertise in finance led to his role with the West Indies Cricket Board, where he commercialized West Indies cricket globally and orchestrated the successful hosting of the 2007 ICC Cricket World Cup. This experience enabled him to launch SportsMax, the Caribbean's first sports television channel, which was later sold to Digicel. Chris has recently consulted as an advisor for Broward County, Florida, for the ICC Men's T20 World Cup 2024.
Okay, Chris. you can add anything you want to, and then tell us what you think cricket coming to the USA and of course the West Indies at this time. What does it mean for the game?
Well, for the game itself, it's just showing where the game has already gone in the US. So it's not an attempt to start cricket in the US. It is demonstrating where cricket has gone in the US, quite under the radar for most people, and where the cricket world, the ICC, sees it going in the future. And I don't think you can understand the magnitude of the ICC picking up its own money and building a temporary stadium in New York to host matches. ICC don't spend its money. For ICC Cricket World Cup, you as a host, you spend all the money, they'll bring the event. And that's how FIFA runs as well and so on. It's a massive event. It brings massive television viewership. And usually there's this other benefits of hosting global events. Eh? ICC are investing its own money to build a 34,000 seater in New York. They know where cricket is in the US, so and how they're going to capitalize on it. So cricket in the US is already taking off. You can see that from the fact that Major League Cricket has now started, and the type of people that have invested in Major League Cricket. When you have a Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft, the biggest corporation in the world, Mukesh Ambani, the 10th richest man in the world, all these Indian billionaires and multimillionaires investing in the sport in the US, you realize they're seeing numbers that the rest of us just don't have privy to. So it is a massive boost for what's happening in the US. Major League Cricket is going to springboard off the back of us, of US hosting the World Cup. Cricket is also back in the Olympic Games, and it's going to be back in Olympics in Los Angeles. The US has host again.
Yes.
The US team don't beat Bangladesh. The T20 series. You listen. It doesn't take rocket science to add up all these pieces and say, "Wow, cricket, the Americas, the USA is going to be the future of cricket in the Americas." That's the reality. The resources here are just so vast. I shudder and stare for the West Indies.
Wow.
Yeah, Yago, Chris says he shudders and fears for the West Indies. Give him the reality. What's your take?
Well, it's true. All of what Chris says is basically true. And then, as we say again, with the 2020 version of the sport, what this does, it has brought out even people who don't even love cricket. People who don't love cricket is a festive event. It is fantastic when you're there. The atmosphere is just so real. So Chris can tell you. I mean, Chris was the one who organized the mount where you had the pool at Sabina Park and things like that at cricket. I mean, these things were unheard of before. So when you come to a T20 game, it's a whole situation of excitement. So people, all that don't know anything about the game, they are there for the excitement, the fun. If you notice the music, the dancers, they have everything that they have involved in it that wasn't in cricket before.
But I believe the world of cricket actually owes the West Indies. Because, first of all, limited overs cricket came into being to try and get everybody to play like cricket like the West Indies, to make it more entertaining, more shots and so on. That's how it started, They love the way the West Indies played, our pace of play, etc. So they created this format, short overs, to get everybody to play that way. Then they came to the West Indies and saw how we celebrated the game off the field with the music and the girls and the dancing and the swimming pools. And they said, wow, what a great thing. And so they packaged it all in T20. and it has like exploded. And so they almost owe such a gratitude, in my view,
Yes.
Go ahead, Kevin.
That,
one second. Yeah, go ahead, Yago.
back in the olden days, we used to go as far as playing 30 over cricket. And in England, they used to play the John Player League, which was a 30 over affair. So the short version had been around for a long time. And then to piggyback, we have to give Packer a lot of credit. Because although Packer and Stanford a lot of credit for this. In that
those two men deserve their own conversation.
Packer was the man who
Packer and Stanford,
Packer was the man who started the night cricket, the white ball, the colored clothes, all them, the amount of cameras at the game and the handles and all that kind of stuff. So it coming from that. And we played in that all the way to the 50 over version of the game. And then the first night test matches, we played the first night test matches in colored clothing back then. And then Stanford took it up with the 2020. And then here we are. It is evolved and it move on. And this is where it is. And even the players themselves have perfect a lot of things in it. If you look at shot like the reverse sweep, I saw it. It's not a new thing to the game. I saw it when Mushtaq Mohammed was the first man I saw play that shot way back when. But it wasn't a shot that was conducive to test cricket. So, players didn't catch on to that because I've never played a reverse sweep in all my life. You understand? But when you look at it today in the 2020 game, and even test cricket now, they are current in test cricket. I mean, the guys played with the kind of power that they play the shot now. It's amazing. I didn't like the switch hit because the switch hit I find should be legal basically because you're turning around. You become a left-hander when you switch it. Reverse sweep is fine for me. But the switch hit, I think, should be outlawed because the bowler has to tell the umpire which arm he's going to bowl with. The batsman can't just change in the middle of the whole thing. So I believe the switch hit should have been outlawed.
Kevin, you wanted to say something?
Yeah. To what Iago just said, well, the game is batsman centric. So people come to see runs and and shots, right? And the bowlers get in where they fit in. But to Chris, I usually tell people West Indians invented T20 cricket, right? Would you say that we as West Indians missed an opportunity to package it like you mentioned just now?
Yes and no. The reality is that the West Indies, the day television came into cricket in a big way in the 90s, you can correlate the decline of West Indies cricket. And it had nothing to do with our talent, our ability, and so on. It just had to do with our size. We're such a tiny market that the English Cricket Board would be getting £150 million a year from the domestic sale of television rights. This is in early days. For that line item, the West Indies Cricket Board gets zero because we have all these poor little television markets, zero television market, none in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
And so if you extrapolate that, and it now gone up into the £400 million and so on, and £2.5 billion a year now, billion US with India. After a while, it's the talent can close that gap. It will every once in a while it will show up and the talent will show up. But when you're owning 2 million registered cricketers using $2.5 billion of revenue every year versus another country that is owning 6,000 registered cricketers and maybe have 30 million at best a year, it's difficult to sustain competitiveness. It's not that we missed the boat. It's just that even if we had invented T20 and sold it to, remember your biggest sale is always going to be your domestic market. And our domestic market, unfortunately, 5 million poor people.
Yeah.
A big point. But I'll stay with you for a moment, Chris. And we would have read that the first international cricket match was actually between USA and Canada back in 1844 or something, right?
Yeah, 18.
Now, in terms of now, we would agree with most of what you said earlier, and the possibilities that exist. But they also said that cricket used to be played all over America, and then came this other game called baseball, right? And then baseball neutralized all that. What do you think that it will really make that much of an impact and a difference this time round?
Major League Cricket believes that they are going to be the top five in the US within 20 years. And I don't doubt them. Because what has happened, the demographics of the US is rapidly changing. So you have here now 30 million cricket fans, right? The sport itself, T20 is a sport in and of itself. Don't call it cricket. It's T20. The sport itself lends itself to the American way. And what people are finding in even places like in Midwest, the same little kids that like baseball are loving cricket. Why? In baseball, they get to hit the ball once or twice in a whole game. In cricket, wow, what you telling me? If I can hit the ball, if I can bat, I can stay out here all day. There's no feeling.
You can stay out there for 20 overs.
Yes, yes. So the kids are enjoying it at the youngest level because they're able to participate a lot more on the baseball. They don't want to play football. Many of them, the mothers, the parents will let them play American football because there's all dangers and so on. And the truth is, soccer has been positioned in the US for many, many years as a girls' sport. So,
That's true. That is very true.
That is growing leap and bound in terms of the soccer. Also because of changing that demographics of the US. When David Beckham bought his franchise, into Miami, he paid $30 million for it. The franchise just crossed the $1 billion valuation mark, right? So that is, you see what is happening. I use that as an example that, hey, that was also a niche sport in the States. In fact, I came to the States on a soccer scholarship. And I will tell you, in terms of the school itself, they didn't care about the soccer team, even though we win the national championship. It's their football team. Everything was about football and basketball and so on. Well, you see what is happening with soccer now in the States? That's what they're predicting is going to happen with cricket.
I definitely think so. The cricket thing is going to come on strong here. It is going to get big here.
The other factor that is also going in cricket, the television market in the US for all sports, the big sports, Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, started on free to air. So there's still quite a bit of resistance to those sports as a subscriber type sport. You see NFL trying it. Them starting the NFL Thursday night and they want to charge a special subscription for it. And they're struggling. The difference is with cricket, it has always been a subscriber sport here in the US. So the entire TV market here, they know if you want to watch cricket, you're going to have to pay. It's not going to be on free to air. You're going to have to pay. So it's a market that's been groomed to pay. So even though it is a smaller market, it's a paying market. So for our Cricket World Cup in 2007, I bet you can guess where we sold the highest television right.
United States.
India. Easy. I bet you can't guess number 2. United States of America. And it is still in the top 3.
Is that because of the big South Asian population that's here?
It's a big Commonwealth. So South Asia dominate, But you also have English and West Indian and so on. And it's a market that is used to paying subscription. That's what creates the value.
Right. I get that. I get that. Now, I mean, I'm listening and we thinking, no, it's not really looking good. I mean, you say like 20 years, and you shudder to think of where West Indies cricket, will be in the 20-year period.
You
What?
cannot beat resources. You cannot beat resources. Because all we're talking about so far is the commercial resources, that the board has when they earn money. We don't start to talk about the national resources that get put into sport. Do you know what an average Irish school has as its facilities? I passed by my high school the other day, and you will notice they're still practicing. Practicing in that high school today is how I left it 50 years ago.
Yes.
Which professional sport you develop professional athletes now the same way as 50 years ago? And that's a question of resources. No, I mean, sometimes I used to have some knockdown arguments with Yaga's friends, Viv and Gordon Greenwich, because I would be going around the world and I'm seeing the most incredible facilities in high schools that I know if I wouldn't stop back. The bowling machines and the simulated batting cages and stuff. In our practice at Senior Cup, Yaga, if you don't bat in the first 3 or 4 batsmen that get a little 15-minute knock up in the net, you're facing tired bowlers. No, you can bat for hours and hours and hours all day in a simulated batting cage. You can practice for 3 hours against Mitchell Stark, simulated video simulation, before you go face him. It's just, but that's sources that are now available. And then you get an AI readout on all your flaws that the mid shots, and then you can work on that particular shot for 3 more hours in the net. It's a different world. Professional sports, because of the money that has come into it, it has just left us. And for us in the Caribbean, we're still having kids but for 15 minutes in the net, kind of thing. And that's fucking practice.
When you see, this is why our players know, the ones who get the exposure and get a contract, IPL contract, because so much cricket is playing around the world. So these guys can go and get these contracts and play around the world. They are out there now, and they see what is happening. They are making good money. They are making a lot of good money now, because when you get IPL contract, you are doing extremely well. And these guys now are full-fledged professionals.
Professionals.
This is their job. This is their job. I went one time and see these guys training, and it was unreal to see them in the nets batting and all of that. How they practice. I mean, it's different than when I used to play back then. Most of these guys, you can have a bowling machine at your house. You can have a bowling machine at your house that you can set up your own thing at your house. You have breakfast and then you go have a nap with a bowling machine in the nets and organize yourself. It is now what Chris is talking about now, the future. The younger ones who is coming up now. We need the facilities for these people, the youngsters that are here now. We need these facilities for them, for us to compete with the rest of the world.
20 years ago, I worked in South Africa in the Cricket World Cup over that time, right? 2002, they World Cup was in 2003. I spent almost a year in South Africa working with their organization. And when Ali Bakar sent around the list of the practice venues for the different teams, and I looked on the list and I saw something Stroom High School beside the West Indies. I was insulted. I fly around Ali Bakar office and like, Ali, what kind of foolishness is this? West Indies, we have Brian Lara Steele and Courtney Water. We're a contender. I said, Chris, you don't understand. That's the high school Herschel Gibbs and Jack Callis went to. It's a first class facility. Now, in my mind, I'm thinking, Yaga, I'm thinking Woolmans or JC, right? When we get down to Cape Town, I'll have my driver take you to this so he can report back to the West Indies that it's a first class practice facility. When I drove to the gates of the high school, I couldn't believe it was a high school.
Wow.
They had
campus.
5 cricket grounds in the high school. Every single one of those cricket grounds was better than any test venue in the Caribbean. Because remember, we hadn't rebuilt the stadium yet. It's 2002. They had two of the fields had lights. So you can imagine they played an interfarm match and thing on the light. Then they took us to the practice facility. I'll never forget it. 14 perfect nets. 4 were artificial, 10 were turf. Right? Pitch, K-pitch. Bowling machines lined up. A fielding area with all kind of machinery that I'd never seen before for practice fielding, slip catching and all that kind of thing. It was mechanical, Yaga. It licked the ball, fly out and it hit the edge of the bat. And I was like blown away. Then they took me to the indoor net where they hook up the little boys and the image come out on screen and they're working out and they have bowling machine and the little boy with 100 square cut. Just building muscle memory like how they build golfers and tennis players and so on. And my heart sank. I said, my God, this is high school? No wonder. What are the proteins? What is the protein facilities?
Yes. So when they hear Chris talk and tell you about these things, sometimes we have to ease up on our players sometimes.
Yeah. The preparation. We are going on pure talent. Natural talent.
Yes. And it's not alone now. Not alone. No, we need more.
You know, when I hear these stories and with the growth of Major League Cricket and minor league cricket, and I'm watching right now and I'm seeing Bravo is with, if I'm not mistaken, Afghanistan. Phil Simmons is with Papua New Guinea. Kyron Pollard is with England. And I'm thinking to myself, these are so many different trains that are coming at the West Indies, right? And as Chris rightly said earlier up in the show, with all that he's seeing, he fears the West Indies cricket, right?
Yes. Yeah. What you mentioned in a way, it's a common thing around the world now that players from other countries now are involved in with other teams around the world, So that is not anything new right now,
No, it's not.
It is there. It is part of the thing now wherein, that's the way it is. We just have to go and deal with it. When you look at it, the Englishman, them say Pollard, the World Cup, the 2020 World Cup is going to be in the Caribbean. So it was a good fit for them to probably look at somebody like a Pollard to be there with their team at this time. Because they want to win. They'll win the last one. They want to 160. They want to come back and they want to take it again. And they always have the quality there to do it. England have a relatively good side too.
Especially given their performance in the 50 over World Cup last year.
Yeah. No, they were terrible in the 50 over World Cup last year. They didn't do as well. Although the team wasn't a bad team itself.
No, it wasn't.
That reminded me of our team that went there with Chris Gayle and these guys. We had a start to the team that went there that we thought this team could have won. But sometimes, when you have this kind of star-studded team, you tend to overlook the little things. You leave out a lot of the little things. And when things start to go bad, we start to, if Chris don't do it, we have so-and-so. We have Pollard. We have this. We have that. We have, you know it well. Remember one of the games to get ball out to 50-something.
Yeah.
One of the games to get ball out to 50, So, sometimes it is just so rough. Sometimes when you have this kind of talent and you don't mask it properly, wherein You don't take things for granted. You play like, hey, each man that is there must get the job done. Don't leave it for the next guy and the next guy and continue. We have all of these top players and we will get no.
It will happen, sir.
You know, yes, definitely. It can bite you. This game, cricket, it's a very unforgiving sport. And when you get out of form sometimes, it is so difficult to find that back. And especially in the shorter version of the game, or the 2020 game, I mean, you get out of form, it's very difficult. You get there sometimes, it's only 2 overs left to bat, and you don't get no runs in the last 3-4 matches. You have to sacrifice yourself for the team. You can't just go there and say, listen, I am going to sit down there and try get ideas together for myself. No, that cannot happen. You have to play for the team. So, you know, it is so tough sometimes when you're on the wrong side of it, you know. It is tough. Very, very tough.
All right. The question I want to close with this evening. Still looking at West Indies cricket, say 20 years from now. And I want you gentlemen to pause a while and let us consider something. Now, what I've noticed, regardless of the numbers in the country, regardless of the money that's being put into the sport, which is always a big factor, you know, because you know, certain parts of the Caribbean, like in Guyana, you know, we're never going to produce Olympic level athletes because we don't have a bank track yet, you know, and if guys don't get facilities like that to practice on, they can't move on. But then there's some games like, say, soccer and cricket where talent always shines at some point, and talent ultimately, outside of money, talent is what really fuels the game, because that is what really fuels the, you know, excites people and makes them want to come, right? So let's say the equivalent, Chris, let's say the equivalent of something like what happened at the Olympic Games in 2008 with Jamaica, where folks are watching at the 100-meter women's final, and bam, 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 Jamaica 1-2-3. This small country, you know, you got America with all the fancy techniques, some of the stuff equivalent that you'd have talked about in the athletic sphere. My question is, how do we, given that we're so small, numbers wise, economic wise, we may not make much sense, but the talent is always, and it continues to be there. How can we leverage that from a branding and a marketing standpoint to remain relevant?
Well, you're looking at international cricket and the structure of cricket in like as if it's going to stand still. The world of cricket is evolving, and you can see the evolution based on where the television rights are going. So it is almost starting to look like the world of cricket could actually start to resemble the world of football, where the priority for the individual is his club. That's where he's going to make most of his money. Look at even India, where the IPL, the television rights went for 2.2 billion US for the IPL, and the Indian Cricket Board television rights is something like 400 million. Right? You're starting to say, hold on a second. People are more interested in seeing their club now playing. And that's where, so if you have that talent in Guyana, you're a Guyanese and can bat like crazy, where are you going to get paid for your talent? Paying for the West Indies, or playing for Mumbai Indians, or playing for the Washington Freedom, or the what's the other one, the Texas whatever in thing. That's my fear for the West Indies. So we can either the one thing that I've said is that, unfortunately, one of the things that holds us back is that there's no such thing called the West Indies. There's no body that benefits from brand West Indies. When West Indies wins, Jamaica doesn't feel it. Trinidad doesn't feel it. They can't exploit that brand. But I've always asked, what did Oman, Papua New Guinea, Nepal, and all these countries contribute to world cricket that allows them this global platform playing in the Cricket World Cup? Why not Jamaica, Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago getting an opportunity to play in the Cricket World Cup? The same way that they might be playing in the Olympic Games. And so people, when I say this, people think I want to break up Western cricket. No, I just see it's almost inevitable because Jamaica is not going to go to the West Indies as West Indies, to the Olympics as West Indies. No, Jamaica is royalty, the Olympic Games. It's going to take its Jamaica Olympic team there, which might include one day a Jamaica Olympic cricket team. And the day that they beat England in a quarterfinal or something, because it can happen in T20, you can start to see the clamoring, because I can see brand benefit for Jamaica playing in Olympic Games and playing in the World Cup every couple of years, because my players are making plenty money in the meantime playing for their clubs. So we have to think about how cricket is likely to evolve to be able to try and extrapolate any value from the brand, because the brand, the industry is not standing still; it is dramatically changing.
But Chris, the problem with that is that, and I had said it years ago, that I believe that Test cricket was on the chopping block.
It is.
You understand? It is going to be on the chopping block. I had predicted that in 40 years there would be no more Test cricket. I had said that a while back. And what you saying now, because Jamaica, Trinidad, and Guyana can get into world cricket as a T20 team, and
not as competitive as Nepal and Oman and
yes,
US.
that's right. Over time can do well, but I don't think we can sustain it. If we were talking about Test cricket, I don't think we can sustain it individually.
No, I never advocated that.
We couldn't sustain it individually if we couldn't.
No, absolutely. But the truth is, why are we focusing so much to survive this wonderful thing called Western cricket in a form of a sport that is not likely to be around in 30 or 40 years?
Well, this is the whole point about it. We have to get into the reality, I think. Well, I suppose that the generation changing will eventually get there, I think.
Right.
You're not going on. A lot of the old sports is not going to let go of that. As I said earlier, and I give you guys a quick little thing early on. Years ago, playing senior cup cricket, I had seen where in a lot of the good schoolboy cricketers stop playing cricket, they either migrated or they go to work and done with the cricket. Stop playing club cricket. And I had said, boy, I think we need to find a way where we can pay them something to play senior cup cricket for the 2 days. The 11, you're going to pay the 11, whether it be $100 a day or whatever. At the time I was proposing. And the whole of folks, them ball out strongly. What we are talking about? I play this thing for nothing. What you talking about? Pay people to come play senior cup cricket. You're crazy. They could not see what was happening. I was seeing something behind.
Well, in the Caribbean, we don't have a professional sports industry. No. And therefore, most people don't automatically think of playing sport as a profession.
Correct.
Chris, so what I'm hearing you saying is, with regards to Jamaica, Guyana, Trinidad, all the individual islands, maybe showing up at a T20 World Cup, right? Are you saying when it comes down to T20 World Cup, maybe the West Indies should be broken up and these teams be able to represent?
Yeah, and who don't make it? Because there's a qualification process, Who don't make it? They are West Indies. We deserve that.
I agree with you.
West Indies can compete, but whoever made it individually can pay. So there's an incentive. Listen, I want to, one of the things that the energy that used to be behind a Jamaica versus Barbados or a Barbados versus Trinidad doesn't exist anymore. Why?
Yeah, it
Because
doesn't.
it means nothing. Back then, it meant something. So you got this high quality thing. Yo, can you imagine Jamaica playing Trinidad for a space in the Olympic Games or the
Yeah.
next World Cup? All of a sudden, it means something again. The government invested. They said, no, we want to get my country qualified. So you get the
Correct.
national resources coming into it. You get national pride again.
Yes.
Who won last year's regional 48 tournament in the Caribbean? None of you can tell me.
Guyana.
Who won last year's under 19 regional tournament? None of you
That I
can.
can't tell you.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
means nothing anymore. Nobody follows it. It hardly gets any mention in the press. No, I know I've been to Sabina Park, jam packed for Jamaica, Barbados.
Yes. Yes.
Once upon a time,
Oh,
but it
yes.
doesn't mean anything anymore.
Oh, yes.
Imagine if it was a World Cup qualifier. Because it's the same thing. I always use the example of the Shell Caribbean Cup. Remember that football tournament in the region? Shell Caribbean Cup. Jamaica versus Trinidad, you might have 2 man and a dog inside the national stadium. Jamaica versus Trinidad World Cup qualifier, all of a sudden, stadium is rampacked because it means something.
Yeah, yeah, yes, yes.
To
I mean,
get to the,
case
get
on
to the
point.
World Cup, to get to the Olympics. Why is the Oman government and thing pumping so much money into cricket? Kuwait pumping all this money because they're trying to qualify their team for the World Cup, the Cricket World Cup.
Yes, yes. I mean, years ago, don't know if you guys probably are like too young to know, but years ago, Barbados take on the rest of the world by themselves. They took
And it
on
was
the rest of the
seen,
world by themselves because Barbados are so powerful then.
but was seen in a negative light and so on. But I'll
Yeah,
tell you this, I was in Antigua when they reintroduced cricket into the Commonwealth Games. It's like games that don't get televised, right?
Mm.
Antigua was going by itself for the first time. And I have never seen so much money raised for Antiguan cricket by corporations, by government, by everybody, because it was a national, opportunity for them to put Antigua by itself on the map. And it always struck me from them in the late 90s. It struck me from then, whoa, you see what happens when you have national pride? The instant everybody to rally behind your national team. Well, guess what? West Indies used to have that when West Indies meant something. To the youngsters today, you mentioned, and it meant something because this was the umbrella that we used to beat up the English or colonial masters, and it meant something to that generation. To the youngsters, you mentioned colonialism today. They've never even heard of it. They don't know what you're talking about. But
Chris.
All right, that is definitely something to really delve into, because I think it's a question we going forward we definitely gonna keep asking ourselves, what is the West Indies, and but then like you would have pointed out, Diago, going individually with our numbers, it's still going to be tricky, right? But I do agree that maybe at the Olympics, in the same way we were allowed to compete, in sprints and so on individually, maybe at the Olympics, the different countries should be allowed to compete. So on that score, I'll take any closing thoughts from you guys, and we will wrap up. Yago, I'll start with you.
well, and the World Cup gets underway, and I think it's Saturday with US versus Canada, and then the West Indies play their first game against Papua New Guinea in Guyana on the 2nd. So we are on our way for the big World Cup T20. And the excitement is getting ready here in the US, here in Florida, where I am. We're getting ready for their games here. And the biggest game we have here is going to be India against Ireland. I think that is the biggest game we're going to have. Huh?
India, Canada.
India, Canada is one of the big ones. But Ireland, Canada.
Pakistan. Ireland, Pakistan.
Ireland, Pakistan, yeah. You know, and then in New York, stadium up there, I mean, we'll be so supported. And in Texas. It's a wonderful feeling. And as I say, we are here for the excitement here, and we're looking forward to having it. And hopefully it's a success, and hopefully the West Indies can come out
on top.
Yeah.
Your closing words there, Chris.
Well, look, I agree with Jagan's sentiment. The excitement is building. It's the first time the Cricket World Cup is being held in the US. They bid to host matches in 2007, but we rejected them at the time. And now they're a very senior partner in the hosting of this event. I really, look forward to them putting on a great show. And certainly here in Broad, where I am, everybody is quite excited about it, and we're looking forward to the Ireland-Pakistan match. I think it's going to be the most competitive match. India-Canada is the biggest match because you can't the sheer volume of people that are turning up that want tickets for that, based on the South Asian market. But Ireland-Pakistan means something special to me because that was the game, the upset in Kingston, Jamaica, where Ireland upset Pakistan and knocked Pakistan out of the World Cup. At the same time, Bangladesh is knocking India out of the World Cup. This is in the first round. And the Caribbean was robbed of the spectacle of having India and Pakistan go all the way through a tournament to the throngs of people that support. But it was that game that the following morning I got a frantic call after that upset to get down to the Pegasus Hotel because Bob Woolmer, the coach, had been found dead in the hotel room. So it's going to bring back some incredible memories, bittersweet memories of that whole, me having to deal with that issue. Ireland, Pakistan, that upset, and a movie was actually made around it, and all the allegations of maybe match fixing involvement and a bet gone bad and so on. So I'll definitely be there.
Okay, Kevin, your closing thoughts.
Well, even though I have Australia pegged to win this thing, I think this is about the best opportunity West Indies have, especially given all the recent history of us not doing too well in what you call tournament format cricket, right? We've struggled a lot. If you think back to the 2019 50 over World Cup, the subsequent T20 World Cups, getting knocked out, I think this is a great opportunity for us to, erase all of that. With that being said, I have a couple of questions for Chris and Yaga. Chris, what are your thoughts on the marketing on crowd turnout for the recent 3-match series against South Africa?
It didn't look bad, but when you compared it to the Jamaica Premier League final, the local football league final, or semi-finals actually, that took place at that same venue just a couple of weeks before, which it was jam-packed. Compared to the turnout, it was probably disappointing for me. Cricket has not been in Jamaica for a while, and you'd have thought that, people would have turned out. But the reality, cricket in Jamaica is in a lot of trouble. It's in a lot of trouble. That is one of the weaknesses of West Indies cricket, because if this was my company and a country with half of my natural resources, my raw materials, I'm losing. I would pay special attention to that.
Yeah.
But West Indies Cricket Board cannot, by its very nature. If they did that, you'd hear, "Oh no, you're focusing on Jamaica too much," and it's only because of the insularity of and it's structural, and you understand it. No Barbadian is going to want us to spend more time and money and resources on Jamaica. No Antiguan is going to want us to spend more time and money on Barbados than Antigua. But there's a reality. Antigua is 100,000 people. There's X amount of resources that you can draw. Barbados has 300,000. There's just so much resources you can draw. Jamaica has 3 million. In fact, between Jamaica and Trinidad, that's 70% of the raw material for you to extract in a professional sense. But West Indies Cricket Board cannot do that. They cannot focus on the raw material as if this was a properly run company in an industry. And so when I see Jamaica, the turnout, it's just a sign of the time.
The reason why I asked that question was because I was paying attention to the JPL, the Jamaica Premier League also, and what is taking place this year and last year. And I was wondering, did we miss an opportunity to collaborate with the guys over on the Jamaica Premier League side?
Possibly, because there's some good guys over there who understand marketing and understand the commercial aspect of the game. There's no doubt about it. They've done an incredible job with Jamaica. But you would think that Sabina Park, which really only holds now 12, 13,000 without all the additional stands that you could put up, 13, 14,000. If we can't fill that for West Indies T20 game, not a one-day match, no. The time of the match also would have perfect. But again, this goes to show you it's symptomatic because the matches have to be played in the Caribbean to suit who our television market is, which was South Africa and England and so on. That they're the ones paying the bills because we have no domestic TV market. If we could play our matches at night, you quadruple the available addressable market that you can attract. And you're seeing it here with the Cricket World Cup. A lot of the matches are at 10 a.m. in the morning. That's for India.
Yago, do you think we have replaced the likes of Richards and Haynes and Greenwich and Ambrose and Walsh, given what obtains right now in West Indies cricket? The team?
Yago is frozen.
Yeah, Yago's.
I didn't hear.
Okay. Go again, Yago. You were frozen a little just now.
No, I was talking about the crowd at Sabina. I was pleasantly surprised to see so many people there. I thought it was a big crowd, basically, without things are going these days. I was very surprised, to be honest to you. And I even spoke to a few friends who said, "Man, Sabina was full." They have not seen this kind of crowd here for some time.
For one long time. Wow.
You're right.
We have not seen this kind of crowd here for some time.
Interesting.
It's tough. Yeah.
All right, gentlemen. We look forward to a great tournament. Thank you for joining us, Kevin, Chris.
Appreciate being, man.
All right, thank you for joining us. This has been a presentation of the Lawrence Rowe Legendary Cricket Foundation and GT Universal. Yago, we'll be talking. All right. So thank you, gentlemen, and thank you all those who have been watching us, those in the comment section, and please listen out for when we'll be back again to talk about T20 World Cup cricket. Take care and bye.